Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, a show that we do once a week where we discuss the classic Quantum Leap series, the one starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell, the one that ran from 1989 to 1993. And with me, as always, I have a distinguished panel of gentlemen. First of all, we have Ro, the host of the Sacrif Podcast. Ro is a broadcast news veteran. He's here to give us some behind-the-scenes knowledge when it comes to the technical side of productions. How's it going, Ro?
It's going fantastic. Good to be here. Good to see the chat.
By the way, Ro is also the co-founder of a network called the Red 5 Network of other podcasters. And one of those podcasters is Nick. Nick is kind of a Renaissance man. He's a minister at his local church. He's the local locksmith in his town, also consultant to the sheriff and to the fire department, has his own ranch where he raises goats, and an expert in science fiction. He also has his own channel where he discusses pop culture. How's it going, Nick?
Going good and ready to talk some Quantum Leap.
Finally, after about 70 episodes together, I feel like I did it quickly.
It only took 70 episodes.
It only took 70 episodes. I finally was able to do it. And just in time for this strange episode that we have today. It's season 5. We're already in the 5th season, and this is the 14th episode of the 5th season, which means there really aren't that many episodes left. Just a moment to also thank everybody, all the people that hang out with us every week as we do these kind of shows, and also for the people that watch the replays later. We get a lot of really great feedback from you live and just later, even from people who enjoy this stream. And we're so thankful that we get to do all of this with you. I say this because we don't have a million more streams left, so kind of savoring and enjoying everyone that we have. Although there will be some interesting things going on once Quantum Leap ends, and I'm really looking forward to that. But that's something that we'll discuss another time. Anyhow, let me see. I guess before we jump into this, any kind of initial things, anything you want to say about it, Ro? Any very initial thoughts?
Sure, initial thoughts. You know, season 5 has been kind of a mixed bag for me. I know we talk about swinging for the fences and trying new things, which I do appreciate. Some of these things land, some of these gimmicks don't. But this one was interesting because this is, I think, the first time that we see kind of a television celebrity of that time, and for whatever you think about it, I think I'm not sure it worked out as well as they wanted it to, but we'll get into it, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about how this season they tried a lot of things. They tried a lot of experimentation. We keep talking about swinging for the fences, and there have been occasions this season that I said, well, I really like this idea, but there have been occasions that we've all kind of looked and said, well, maybe they could have done this a bit better, or maybe they didn't think things through. We have talked about before about how the network, and that's for people who don't know at home, the network put a lot of pressure, from what we know, on Donald P. Belisario on the last season of this show. First of all, Quantum Leap was a show that they never loved. They felt that it was a complicated production. There were also changes in personnel and executives that wanted a different vision for the network. And usually when another executive comes along, he wants things differently. And there were just, within NBC, there were people that were not championing this show. It was already once almost canceled, but because there was such a campaign and lobby from fans to keep it on the air, NBC caved. And in a very rare occurrence, they got such backlash to wanting to cancel the show that they had to reverse their decision and say that they'll continue it. But even though they continued it, there was this feeling that they were still kind of throwing monkey wrenches into this production. And before this final season, it's pretty clear that they came to Belisario and said, this season, you better do crazy things that we've never seen before. You better give us stuff that we want. We want celebrities. We want like historical figures. We want things that have never been seen before. Take this show in a whole different direction. Experiment. We want it. The music has to be upbeat. Everything has to be happening. And I feel like in order to somehow try to save this show, he did, along with his team, and that includes also Deborah Pratt, who by now they were getting a divorce, which made things even more complicated. It looks like him and his team really, really tried. But when you're frantic and you're trying to keep juggling and making all these ideas, and it's not like a Netflix show. It's not a situation where they had 2 years to sit around like those Stranger Things people that they sit like 3 years between seasons and think of their ideas. This is a situation where from 1 minute to another, they need to quickly act and deliver these results. And I think that that's why this season, even if they think of ideas that aren't terrible, somehow once they rush and put them on the screen, there's something that always, in a lot of cases, feels like it's either incomplete, wasn't well thought out. And I think it's fair to say that this episode kind of gave me that feeling. I don't know if that's what you were trying to say, Ro.
Something like that.
Sorry, I don't know how I went on this whole rant. Nick, what do you think before we jump in?
Sorry, I was trying to adjust my mic. I think that I actually didn't have a problem with the celebrity part. We had a previous episode, I think it was last season, maybe it was the beginning of this season, the one where it was kind of was it Harambo or the not Jerry Springer, but kind of
Geraldo,
Geraldo, where he was obviously being somebody who was famous, but not, and so for this they got the actual person, but they also could have just done a person like this, and I don't feel like that necessarily took too much. But I do feel that because they had the actual person is why they probably felt to want to go into that well of him and the Leaper mixing and transferring kind of back and forth. And he goes into her voice, and I felt like that didn't work.
No, it didn't. I agree with you. Again, it feels like something that somebody in somewhere thought this was an interesting idea, and they were really excited about it. But if you really think about it, there's something about it that almost seems not very well thought out, unfortunately.
And I feel like this episode has an A plot, a B plot, and a C plot. And I only liked one of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we're definitely going to hop in a second and actually look at the episode itself. I wonder, what are people in the chat saying? Ro, do you see anything? I'm trying to pull up the file. Do you see anything interesting in the chat?
It's always interesting. But they're talking about some
TV show from the 70s we've never heard of.
or the 80s.
Or the 80s? Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. No,
Not
Again,
saying anything special. Tex Rogers is not saying anything special.
They're always special in the chat, but we can get to them. They're talking about Firefly and messaging and things like that.
I see. All right. Well, I'm gonna put the file up in a second. There's just one final piece of the puzzle, and
when Sam and Ruth kind of interposed and he went through his, like Nick was saying, he kind of started to imitate her. I don't know if there was a purpose to that because they didn't do it for the entire show. And I don't know why it was done to begin with.
It was trying to suggest that now his mind was merging with her and he was turning into it. But that's the case, what did those other two people hear the whole episode? Was he talking like an American and suddenly add the Dr. Who accent? Do you get why this is all kind of? I don't like that stuff. I feel like that really you hit on a note now that actually quite annoyed me. But again,
in the past when they've done this, it's been because when they've introduced it with well, they kind of hinted at a little bit in a couple episodes in season 4, but then the real one is when they did the JFK and assassination and all that. That like he was really, but since they've opened the door, it feels like they can't close it. Like the writers all seem to want to touch a little on that. Oh, that's something new we can have fun with. And I feel like in that episode, they were trying to make it seem like this is a very weird leap. Things are not going right. We were seeing it affect in the waiting room too. This has no explanation. Like, is her personality so powerful that she's seeping through? They never say that. They never, Al doesn't go, oh, you're becoming her. So that just seems weird to me.
Yeah. And again, I feel like this is like the first real time that they used a celebrity. And I think they over relied on her celebrity to kind of lean on the story, lean on the character. I almost felt like Sam played second fiddle to Dr. Ruth in this episode.
Yes. You never thought you'd say that about a Quantum Leap episode, did you, Rob?
No.
When we started doing this, you didn't think that sentence would ever come out of your mouth. But yeah, this is the episode, and I'll start in a second. What was the final thing? Yes. I'm surprised that Tex Rogers didn't notice that there wasn't the right thumbnail on the video.
I noticed.
Yeah.
Tex Rogers usually is on top of his game when it comes to this stuff, and he didn't say a word to me. Don't know what to think about that.
Don't forget to mute.
Don't forget to what?
To mute the video.
Oh, yes, I will. I'm just throwing in this thumbnail now. Because I have a thumbnail. Okay. Okay. Save. So now there's the real thumbnail, and now we can begin. All right.
The leap home.
Tex Rogers, I just didn't say anything about it. I feel like Tex is he's laid back now. Back in the day, Tex, like in 1 second, I probably would have gotten an email.
He's getting complacent.
I guess that's what's happening. In any case, we'll start the episode. We'll be the leap home. And then it's like, doctor, if a man has a foot, is that the same size as his love muscle? And he's like, excuse me? And then he sees he's Dr. Ruth, and he's like, oh, yeah. Boy. And then there's the upbeat music. And then the show starts. He's here in the studio. A lot of people are asking him a lot of questions. And I keep wondering to myself if there wasn't maybe some reason why they pushed so aggressively this celebrity. I wonder if like NBC had a deal with Dr. Ruth. I would if Script was here, he'd probably know this dumb thing because it's like a random fact. And I feel like if there's one man on earth that would know it, it's him. Although somebody could Google it.
Somebody in the chat, I think it was either Tex, said that when a show starts to fail, they bring in the celebrities.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I'll accept that.
Well, and you also get cross-platform because maybe she's in this same network, her show that appears. Because
right.
I was listening to Talkville, and they were talking about how in the 7th season, all of a sudden, when it's switched to CW, that on Smallville, suddenly they had to be talking about, oh, I'm going to miss my show, and it would be some show on the lineup, and that it just annoyed the actors and the writers to no end that they had to put these shameless things that now, because some of these shows were not so great, and so when you go back and rewatch it, they got to watch what?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. In any case, he's here as Dr. Ruth, and they're making the calls, and he's talking to them, and suddenly amongst the strange calls of, people asking him kind of random advice and things he doesn't really know how to answer. Oh, Marla Sharondoff, I think, sent me the script. Thanks, Marla. Marla doesn't trust me anymore.
She needs to fact check you.
Fact checked me, yeah. So there was the size of the foot thing, and then the show starts, and then there's, she's like Sam is continuing to give advice. His advice is kind of weird, but he's doing his best to roll with the punches, and
he's not really giving advice. Like with this question. He says, "Well, actually, I knew someone," and then like they cut the call off and go to the next call, and it's like he never answered their question, and it's like I get being squeamish, like I would be, that kind of humor or lewd talk is not my thing, so to speak, but I don't think I would have had a problem with that question. I would have been well, that's not always true. That's a wives' tale. To just move on to the next caller. Like he seems like a child put on stage and asked this.
It seems like he was too prudish to even entertain such a thing.
Right.
And I guess that was the shtick for this one in particular, but it just seemed off.
What really felt off to me. And we'll see, it's like the C plot of Al with Dr. Ruth. But this episode and Al, this is like Al's time to shine. I was expecting to see Al sitting there going and giving him real zingers to give back to these callers.
Mm-hmm.
Because this should be... Yeah.
Yeah, and instead he's like, Sam, it's a beautiful thing. Wow, sex is wonderful. Like he's trying to make it seem like it's okay to talk about this, and like he's not acting like Al would. You're right. You'd think that Al would have like a bunch of funny things to say here, and instead Al is kind of really reserved and tame here.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Nick. That's actually true.
Because and seeing how in the last couple of episodes, Al has seemed crude for the sake of being crude because that's his character. Like when we had the I can't even think of the word now, but the guy with multiple families.
Oh, the bigamist.
And yeah, the bigamist. And he's like, "Oh man, I should have been a bigamist. I could have had 10 ex-wives, and this is great. This guy's my hero." Like, and it's like the whole episode, like the guy's a loser, and it's just like Al's just being the woman crazy sex fiend for the sake of being that because that's part of his character, but his character was never that overt or that calloused or that uncaring of women, and it just felt off. Like they were just like, oh, that's his characteristic. We're going to write him that way. And in this one, it felt the opposite. It felt like, where is Al's charm?
Yeah, I agree with you. And then there's a call, I think, from a lady. I'll look at the script just to make sure. Her name is Annie. And she's basically, she's talking about the fact that she is in a new town. She has a boss that took her out for a drink, kind of a welcome to New York City, but he wanted to, sleep with her. And then she said no, but he's not leaving her alone. He's calling her on the phone. And the way she's describing it, she says, no, I can't say that. So I'm going to lose my job. And then I guess he basically says that he's, they say something about Dr. Ruth being in person at a bookstore that day. And he's like, stay on the line. And then she's like, I can't, I got to go. Somebody's here. So she leaves. And I actually see, the thing is that the idea that there's a woman in trouble and he has to help her is not an idea that I dislike. Even as a radio jockey or whatever it was, I just don't love that they sort of put it in the skin of Dr. Ruth. The disc jockey having to help a lady in trouble is interesting. Meaning, if you told me like Sam's working at a radio station, there's a caller, he senses something's wrong. Now he's trying to figure out where that call came from. And I like that he asked, "Can we trace this call?" And they're like, "No, we can't." And I think that makes sense because during those days with that technology, it's not that easy to trace it in 1 second.
Yeah, but I like that being the story, and I would say that's the A plot that I like. And I found it interesting, like, because we're already seeing kind of like the B plot where the couple behind the scenes is arguing about whether to end the call, whether it's something that is airwave worthy, so to speak.
And Ron Donofrio says Dr. Ruth isn't actually a disc jockey, but you know what I mean. Even if it's a radio personality, whatever it is, then Tex Roger says, yes, the anti-threat is pretty much a standard quantum leap thing, which I don't mind, but go on. Sorry.
And I would say this kind of question or this kind of situation is not uncommon. Like, when people call into these, they're basically either TV or radio self-help books that are like interactive, and they call into these people, and sometimes there's serious things that they get called on, and these people give their thoughts without knowing the circumstances. They're I've seen stuff like this get called into people, whether it's all I can think of right now is Dr. Phil, but I've never watched Ruth's program, but I know there's other ones like this that I've seen in the past. I felt the call believable.
I only once listened to this. You know what? You know why I listened to Dr. Ruth? This is the strangest story, and I don't know why I'm sharing it, but I'm going to share it with you. When I was growing up as a kid, I was at a summer camp. I don't know if they have that today, but they send you away for the summer for a summer camp. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Say yes. No more. Say no more.
No, do you know what I'm saying? That they'd be like, okay, here, go for a few weeks. We'll see you later. Like I don't know. I don't even know if they do such things today.
Sleepaway camp.
Yes, summer camps are still a thing.
Yeah.
Right. No, but I mean, I think that today, even if you go send a kid to sleepaway camp, he has like 7 phones and emails.
Right.
That time they sent you away, and that's it. You're over there
for 7 weeks. You don't know where you're.
Right. Nobody knows anything. You're dealing with your own stuff. Like you're doing something else. And
you're watching Dr. Ruth.
Okay. So what happened was somebody in my bunk had a transistor of sorts. And sometimes late at night, when it seemed like everybody was sleeping and I don't know where everybody was, this kid would pull out the transistor, turn it on, and put on whatever shows were on. Now, sometimes it was just interesting late night stuff. Sometimes it was music. And one time I clearly remember that it was the Dr. Ruth show. And we were rather young. I'm sure that a lot of the stuff that was being discussed there, we didn't understand, but we were like, we were smart enough to understand that some things made us laugh. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even if we didn't understand every single aspect, we were intrigued enough. And I found myself sitting with a bunch of kids and listening to Dr. Ruth in the middle of the night.
Right.
This really happened. So
yeah, I get it.
Don't know why I told this story, but it is a true story and it did actually happen. So make of that what you will. Later on, though, aside from that one instance where I was a transistor that wasn't mine, I never saw any reason to listen to her talking. I'm sure it's nice for somebody. Maybe people like listening to somebody saying all this stuff, but I don't know. It's like, I think I'm not not the target audience. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't dismiss it in that it's a subject matter that maybe we might not be interested in or be looking for hearing ones talk about that. But in a lot of ways, this is just like YouTube. We think in our geek realm, when a new movie comes out, we like to go to our favorite streamers and hear what they think, and they'll sit there and they'll talk for hours, and they'll get super chats, and the super chats will ask them questions, and then they answer the questions, and it really just becomes super chat answer. And this is really no different. This is just over radio. They're calling in, and it's basically YouTube before YouTube. It's just or live streaming like Twitch.
Right.
And they get popular among their group, so people put a lot of weight behind what they say, whether or not really their advice is any better than anybody else's advice.
I'm trying to say that even today as an adult, whether it was Dr. Ruth or who's passed away in the meantime, or somebody else, I'm not looking for such podcasts or whatever you want to call it. This subject, like whatever they're talking about here, it's a bunch of babble that I have no interest in. I don't know why. I don't know if that makes me a bad person. As a kid, I thought it was funny when I saw it, with a bunch of kids and we listened to it. But generally speaking, it's not the type of podcast that I look to listen to. Tex Rogers says, I assume by transistor, Price means transistor radio. Yes, it was one of those like little crappy radios. Back in the day, not everybody had like a cell phone with all these different options. You had like somebody had a little transistor that, had both AM and FM, and he was like a rock star, In any case, Murdoch was... Sorry, what were you saying? Murdoch was talking about that they took us to Disney World. It was just the Magic Kingdom, Wiki Wachi, Silver Springs, the beach. I don't even know what the context is. I was at Disney World as a kid, and I loved it. I have to say that I loved it, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd love it as much today.
But when you think about this, like on YouTube today, we have our interests, and so we go into that. Like Ro jokes sometimes at the beginning of his podcast that they don't talk about sports 15 minutes before reviewing the movie because he's not into sports. But yet there's whole sections on YouTube for that. There's whole sections on YouTube that are people who just talk about makeup or fashion, and so I'm sure that just like true crime, I'm sure in the female demographic, relationship advice YouTubers are probably a huge thing right now, and we're just completely unaware of it because it's completely out of our algorithm. It's not our interest, and that's just what this was, just talk radio.
Right.
She's in relationship and bedroom intimacy content. Meanwhile, Rush Limbaugh is talking politics. It just
by the way,
different interests.
Ron Donafero says, Price of Reason Live, she was talking about sex, total giggle material for a teen. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary White was saying live chat is better than call-in radio. Yes, it's very kind of old school. Before they had what we're doing now, that was the only option where you could sort of interact. But the interaction is much better now. It's like it's more, we're seeing it immediately, we're talking. You don't need to call and have somebody put you on the switch line and talk. This is a much better way of doing it. But that was an early version of it for sure. So I can appreciate that. I understand that she had her following. And then, of course, when she does her book signing, I can understand why people would go, because even today when you have sometimes conventions where YouTubers show up, before she goes to the convention, we see these two people. I think their names are like Doug and Debbie or something like that. And they're sort of a couple that's having problems, and they're arguing and bickering all the time. And then Al, I guess, thinks that Sam needs to, I don't know if he already tells him that he needs to make sure that they stay together or they get back together or whatever it is. And he also, I think maybe does he already say that he's already starting to talk to Dr. Ruth, or that he really likes her or something like that. And that has to do something with what Nick was saying, that like Al is not even acting like himself. He's like gushing over Dr. Ruth. Like the real Al wouldn't give two shit. Sorry, I didn't say that. Two craps. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, Sean. Sorry, Nick. Wouldn't give two craps about Dr. Ruth, but it's he kind of really likes her here, Nick? Oh, I hope Nick didn't run away because of what I said.
No, I just have to take care of something real quick.
It wasn't the two craps that I said?
No, and I find it funny that you apologize to Sean, because he'd be the first one that would say it too.
I didn't even finish the word. I corrected myself mid-word. So, and at the same time, Sam is like, "What about Annie? I want to save her." Sam, you gotta save Doug and Debbie. I think it's Doug and Debbie. I don't even know. I know I should look at Marla's script. In any case, they're signing, and then all these people have like comments like to say, "Oh, thank you, Dr. Ruth. Thanks to you, I do this, and thanks to you, I do that." And then meanwhile, this Annie lady shows up,
Mhm.
And for those who are not familiar, this is the same actress who was in The Karate Kid Part 3.
Oh.
It's a few years since that movie, but not many years. She looks significantly older. Like, I think 5 minutes passed since Karate Kid Part 3, but she aged like 50 years between that movie
Wow.
and this episode,
I
even
think
though,
it's the dress and the hairstyle.
right, they dressed and hairstyled her in a way that she looks a bit older than
Mhm.
she is, I think. Although maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember what year now Karate Kid Part 3 came out. But Part 1 came out in 1984. I want to say that Part 2 came out probably in 1986 or 1987. It's not like, they waited a few years and released it. And let's say this thing, the third one, 1989, 1990, and this show is already, we're like in 93. So I guess what I'm saying is, and she was underage in Karate Kid. She should have been like 15 or I don't know what she was. So at this point, it seems like she's like 18 years old here or something.
Right.
But they made her look older.
Yeah.
Even Mary White would agree.
I think so.
1989. So yeah, here she's like 19 or something. But I don't know. They managed to age her up somehow with the clothes. Very conservatively dressed, and you're right, that hair automatically makes her look like 10 years older. And then I think that while she's there, Sam spots the guy, and he runs away. Right?
Yeah.
And again, this is kind of all weird. I don't know how to explain it to you. I feel like I didn't need the whole Dr. Ruth skin here. I prefer than, I would have even liked it if Sam wasn't a woman in this one. Just make him a regular kind of radio personality male talking about who knows what. And I don't know, even if he's talking about relationships or love or anything, and some lady calls him and he's worried and he wants to be like the chivalrous hero and he wants to take action, I would like that. I didn't need the Dr. Ruth thing, which just added a very annoying element.
I think it definitely took away from the impact of the main story, I guess.
I think the being female though helped with someone who's crying out that they think they're being sexually harassed in the workplace. I think a woman would be less inclined to call into a male talk show. And it's funny, they wouldn't do it at this time, but it would have worked. You would almost expect it to, if it was that kind of thing, that it would be a gay man. But we're at a time where that's not really happening. One of my issues with this episode, and it starts right here with him confronting her at the book reading. This guy is supposed to be the head boss at a law firm, and he's stalking her in the most public places possible.
He's an idiot. He's the worst head boss of a law firm that ever lived.
Head boss of a law firm. Like, I would have loved this episode so much better if they played him off as someone so smart that he felt he was untouchable. They had one moment where they kind of did that in the apartment, but having him, like, every time Sam thinks he's got him and he's proven it, have him talk his way out of it, give that plausible deniability so that, he just has that kind of smarmy, like, I'm too smart for you. That's what I get off on. This is my game. But he's underdeveloped. He's hardly in the episode at all. And so we don't
like
really.
A one-dimensional bad guy. And meanwhile,
he's a one-dimensional bad guy, and he's not shown as intelligent despite having a job that would require him to be intelligent.
You're absolutely right. And you know what? I don't know. It's not that I have anything against Doug and Debbie, but I feel like it's either Doug and Debbie or this. The fact that they tried to combine Doug and Debbie with this thing and Dr. Ruth, somehow it's like it
watered everything. It watered it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is we've seen enough Quantum Leap episodes to be able to say that when this team has an interesting story, and the strong one here was the lady that she's being harassed, but Sam, could maybe help her, even though he doesn't know her, and that she called into some radio station. I like all of these ideas, and I feel like Quantum Leap, if you just told the team, focus on that, forget about all the other crap, focus on that, they would have been able to pull it off and given us a good episode. And instead, they're trying too hard, in my opinion. But whatever, they're here in this thing. And Sam continues to do this thing, and I was like, "You gotta have dinner with Dougie and Debbie and Doug." And then he goes and he has dinner, and apparently there's some other lady, I can't remember her name, that he's now Doug is talking to, and first of all she's talking, and then he arrives, and they're annoyed that Dr. Ruth set him up. Meanwhile, Al is here, and she's trying to kind of give him analysis and talking to him about his relationship with Tina and things like that. And he says, about his own personal life and why he is the way he is with relationships. I mean, there was something interesting here, but I didn't really need it. I don't feel like it contributed to anything, and I don't really care. I didn't need this. I don't think it adds anything to me. At least they did an effect with Al, even though I don't think they did the door opening. Ro, did they do the door opening? Ro? Okay, either my internet is frozen, Ro's internet is frozen, or
I can
Nick.
hear you. I'm almost ready to be back. But
Okay,
Ro looks like he's frozen.
Ro has been frozen in time, and making such a serious face. He looks so serious. Oh, he's gone now. In any case, Al arrives, and
cork on the
oh, really should mute it. So they're still bickering and arguing, and he's telling her that this other lady that's calling him from upstate, he's not serious about her, but Al tells him no, he is serious, and he is going to run off with her, and it's going to be a disaster for them. It's going to be a disaster for both him and Debbie. I think it's Debbie. That's the other lady's name. If I'm wrong, you know what I'm talking about. And then meanwhile, Sam, what is this? How does he get a call from her? Do you remind me? Nick?
So is this the call when she's going unconscious? I
Yes.
believe this is once again. I don't think he's calling her phone. I think she's calling the studio again.
Right.
Because this is when he
And then
runs out of the studio.
Right, he's in the
Like,
office. This is all
mid-question.
very convenient and weird. And then he hears her, and then it looks like there's something wrong, so he runs and comes to her place. This whole thing is just so far-fetched and preposterous. I don't know what to tell you, Nick. And then he comes in, and she doesn't remember if she turned on the stove or she didn't turn on the stove. And all of this is just kind of annoying for me, if I'm going to be honest with you, Nick.
Well, and at this point, I believe that it is her fault. I don't believe this was the guy. I think she heard a noise, and she's so paranoid because when she looks through the trash, there's not a match. So she turned the stove on, heard the noise, and forgot that she turned the stove on.
Yeah, it seems
Called
like
him and then passed out because she's filling the house with gas.
I don't want to blame the victim here, but I have a feeling that she has something to do with this. So, and then again, he's talking about his feelings out with Dr. Ruth. Not really a big fan of any of this.
So I also had an issue with this because this is also not Al.
Not only is it not Al, the fact that they're talking about Tina contradicts with something else we know about Al, and something that becomes relevant even this season, at some point, and has been brought up in previous seasons. It doesn't help anybody. It's unnecessary. I didn't need anything more to happen with Al and Tina. This is all just something I don't care about. You know what? If he would have come to the conclusion that he still wants Beth, then maybe they would have had something. But instead, all he does here is discover that he wants to tell Tina that he loves her or something. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. Now, yeah, that's what he comes to realize, is that he wants to tell Tina that he loves her. And like, this is a little bit later in the episode, but she's working with him. And welcome back, bro. But she's working with him, and he won't say the word love. And because he would only give that to one woman. Now, I have heard him say that he loves women that just walk by Sam in leaps. So I took that as not being part of his character. I think he uses the term love a little bit loosely, and he always seems like the kind of guy that has the attitude of like love is special and should be shared, and you know any opportunity, and because he seems like of that kind of opinion. He's less about well, he's not a cheater. He's less about the moralness of necessarily marriage and finding that one true love for the rest of your life, but of kind of what I would think of like the 60s, 70s, express yourself type love and share it with the world. So it felt out of his character. And there was also a moment when she's trying to get him to say breast, and he says every nickname for it, and I'm like,
oh my God, that was so cringy.
I was like, I don't feel like Al would have a problem with that.
Right.
Yeah, all of this seems weird. And then this part here again, there's a few issues I have with this part. That some of them may surprise you. Not only did they do the Dr. Ruth Westheimer thing, they made it about very, very trendy political topic of that moment, which I always tell you that when you see good sci-fi, you want to tell these kind of timeless stories. And one of the things that I think that this show did versus the newer crappy show that they did, in recent years that was canceled very quickly, is that they knew how to tell these timeless stories. Yes, they could address topics that were of interest during the time, but they didn't step forward too much in a way that already felt aggressive. And here, you have what Nick was saying, the stupidest law firm manager in the history of law firm managers coming in and just being a whole and a douche. He is trying a bit to sort of fool Dr. Ruth and making it seem like there's something wrong with that lady. Now, if you see this lady in the background, that's supposed to be Anita Hill. Anita Hill, at the time, there was something with Congress and Clarence Thomas, and she said that he SA'd her or SH her, and that she complained about him before he was confirmed for the Supreme Court. Now, that is a very political topic. I don't want to.
I wouldn't have even recognized that if you hadn't brought it up.
I 100% recognized it because they're like, she says, oh, like women should be able to stand up and say whatever they think and blah, blah, blah. And then some lady is like, Anita, are you coming? Anita. And it's trying to imply that this was maybe the catalyst of inspiring Anita Hill to go, file a complaint against Clarence Thomas. I want to stop short of getting into that political situation, but I do feel like that had a lot of politics behind it. It wasn't just some lady complaining, but it was something that also involved a lot of politics. That's all I'll say. And I feel like,
yes, but I would say that while it is on a political stance, I feel like that is no different than how they handled him teaching Trump to get into real estate, teaching Michael Jackson to do the moonwalk.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing.
I feel like that's a trope of the show. Him showing somebody who's famous, by his actions, he's inspiring them. He taught them how to do the twist. It just a lot of stuff like that. This just happens to be in the political realm.
Tex Rogers says, thought it was inappropriate here in Quantum Leap. I thought that it was a strange thing. And Tex Rogers saying the real estate and moonwalk are not political things. It's true. When they did this, Donald Trump, nobody thought that he was going to ever run for president. So when they did it, it was just to deal with the real estate side. And Michael Jackson, it was because of being Michael Jackson. Imagine this was like a very heated political topic in that moment. Do you get what I'm saying? Not now when we're sitting and watching. In that moment, that was a very heated thing. They had Dr. Ruth. They had the SH story. They had Anita Hill. It feels like they leaned into this stuff. They're trying too hard. I said it. This is another byproduct of trying too hard, in my opinion. It's fine. It's not. Let's put it this way: if this episode was fantastic and everything was great about it, and Anita Hill was next to the elevator, this isn't what would ruin the episode for me. This is a minor little footnote in an episode that has many issues. But I still think that having this issue here, which is very kind of that week flavor of the week topic that they're discussing, feels to me not as timeless as a lot of the stuff we've seen on the show. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. Like Nick said, whether it's Buddy Holly or Michael Jackson or Anita Hill, I think this is just their shtick. You know, written by, who wrote this episode? It was
it wasn't Deborah Pratt. It was somebody, I don't know who it was,
Yeah.
but they put this in here. I
mean,
know.
It doesn't bother me.
And I would say, given the subject of the episode, it just feels like the kind of cameo
that would fit.
That would fit. Yes, it is. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you that it could ruffle feathers at the time when this was, but also I feel like at that time people weren't getting as ruffled as they are today. If something rubs us the wrong way, the littlest moment, we get on Twitter, we get on YouTube, and we express it, and it's loud, and everybody's like, wow, there's some backlash. Before, at this time, there's maybe a little negative talk around a water cooler, but it has to be negative enough that it causes people to either not tune in the next week or to write into the studio that they're upset, for them really to feel the backlash. So I could see why, even if this was a hot subject at the time, they wouldn't feel it like you would today, if that makes sense. It's not going to be, and this is before something like this would be a topic on a 24-hour news station. Oh, fans are upset that, whereas today, I feel like everything's so much more charged, and people are looking for these things, and we're more susceptible to be upset by any political messaging now because there's so much of it.
Marla Sharndorf says Dr. Heimlich maneuver, and I like what somebody said here. Tex Rogers was answering Rhonda Nefero. That is what made it unpalpable to me. They were taking a side, and yes, I understand that there's two sides to what happened there, but I will say that it was I don't know. I again, people have different ways of feeling about whatever happened there. And some people will feel one way and some people will feel the other way. It's not my job here, especially not on Quantum Leap Revisited, to tell people how to feel about, some kind of scandal that happened decades ago, okay? But what I'll say is that this show is actually taking a political position. And it's one of those things that I was saying that I don't like about shows that do it even today, even when the newer Quantum Leap, where you had the showrunners, somebody that's on the showrunning team or on the production team was sitting there and saying, oh, well, we can push, we can do political things, we can do this, we can do that. And when I was watching that interview, I said, no, you can't. That's not what the original show was about. Well, in this one instance, the show did actually take a position. So it's not the same as all the other people. All the other people that ever existed on the show was not a situation that it was a political scandal, that there were different people that felt different ways about it. And I'm not telling people how to feel about it. I'm just saying it was a heated thing that was being discussed, and I don't know what to tell you. The closest thing we got was maybe the thing with Running for Honor, where Sam was an LG soldier at a time that it was like the 60s or something like that, where during those days people were saying, can people that are in the LG community, can they be in the army? Now, even in that episode, you didn't have like a cheap cameo like this, and you had Sam and Al going back and forth, disagreeing with each other about the topic, because I think the episode was trying to convey the kind of conversations that people were having about it. And I thought that was a better way to address a hot topic, even if at the end they kind of gave their feeling about how they felt about the issue. They at least let two people argue for an entire episode about the matter. And in this case, this isn't a political argument. This is just explaining to you, we've taken a side. This is our side. We agree with this side. This is what's happening. And if you ask me, I would have just steered clear of this whole thing if I were them personally.
So wait, are you saying that somebody listening to somebody by the elevator and deciding that she's going to tell her truth is taking a side? I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same because we're seeing the story that Sam is in, and in that story, that's a made up story, and it clearly, there really is only one side to take, and that's Sam's side in this on that story. Now we're having this person they're showing them being inspired by it, but it's not necessarily. Saying one way or another about that person's case.
Matthew McGee, who's probably listening with his wife Chrissy, is saying, no, the show is taking a side. And Tex Rogers says it implies that what she said happened was the truth. Again, it's not, I'm not a judge.
I don't see it that way. To me, it implies that she is deciding to tell her truth, whatever that truth is, whether it's your truth or her truth. It's a decision that character is making based on the conversation that these two people are having. I never took it as, oh my God, she's going to tell the truth and it's going to blow up. You can't control the implications of other people's perceptions. That's what I'm saying. So I don't see it as this show is taking a side. It's, Sam showed Michael Jackson how to moonwalk. You would be saying that that's what actually happened. The show is taking a side that was factual, and it's not. So I think this is the same thing. It just happened to be a political hot topic of the era. I have absolutely no idea why anyone would say that this show is deciding to take a side in this case.
I mean,
I don't see it.
Because the thing is, okay, the episode here, there's almost like a moral of the episode here where this guy is a bad guy. Okay, this is a villain. This is obviously a bad guy. He's an evil, terrible man. And Sam, as Dr. Ruth, is putting this man in his place and explaining what happens to men like him. And Anita Hill hears it. And this is seemingly what inspires her to then do what she does. So it's really leaning in heavy, suggesting that everything that she said was true. Now, it's not my job here at Quantum Leap Revisited to say if everything Anita Hill said 30 years ago is true or not. I'm just saying that this takes a political, heated subject and really kind of leans into one side of it, in my opinion. Maybe you're right that it's like not 100%, but it's about 80 to 90% there.
But even if she's lying, this could be her inspiration to lie.
All right, Nick.
Look at the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement was, started by legitimate people. The move to that, and then what did we have? Like there was, we have to believe everyone, and then we had ones that came up false.
Everybody is saying we're beating a dead horse and we should move on, and that's fine.
Well, I think this is just good because we're getting some dissenting opinions, but I just
annoyed at us, Nick.
Okay.
Throwing tomatoes at us. I think we should move on. But I first of all, I want to say before we move on, I like your idea, Nick, that even if she was the villain in the story, then the fact that she heard this, it could have given her the idea to be a liar. That's what you're trying.
Oh my God.
I thought was funny.
Because
we don't. She is a liar, but I understand what you were trying to go for.
It still goes either way because we're not giving. It's not like the Oswald episode where we're like showing like this definitive what she did. We're just showing that this is something that gave her the inspiration.
Right. And then this is also a lot of dumb stuff happens here. He goes back. He's doing his thing. I'm trying to remember.
Is this where he starts to transpose the voice?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay. So what happens here? He's like talking to himself, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And then he goes and he starts talking to them, but he talks like in a Dr. Ruth voice suddenly, and
Right.
and Al's like, "Al, Sam, you got to see what Annie is doing. What is going on? Oh no, your mind is merging with Dr. Ruth. This is all just so weird, weird crap." Again, sorry, Nick. This felt like a shark jumping moment. It felt like even Dean
pointless.
Stockwell knew that he was talking a bunch of nonsense here.
Yeah, it was pointless because
this has a serious plot writer, like basic writing 101 that script would be telling us all about right here, because Sam's leaping in to do something that supposedly Ruth couldn't do. And Al is convinced and Ziggy's convinced that it is to put this couple together. But anytime he makes any effort at actually succeeding, Ruth is taking over his mind. So why in the world would Ruth not be able to just do it herself? This is her specialty. They even say she loves matchmaking. And then it's not like Sam says something that would be opposite to what Ruth would say, and that's what gets them together. Every time he makes progress with them, it's because he suddenly starts talking like Ruth. So that makes no sense to that this is even a story plot at all.
Yep, I agree with everything you're saying. I have nothing to say. I agree with you, and yeah, let's move on. It felt like a shark jumping moment, but he manages to resolve their relationship. I really feel like none of these storylines really got the proper attention they needed, but at least here, how does he know? Sam tells him, I think, that he needs to go to Annie's place, and then
because she was going to die tonight in her apartment.
Right.
That's the other thing that was like really weird is this whole time he's not really cared about their relationship. The moment he's told she's going to die within the next 2 hours, all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm going to focus on them now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, first of all, and I'm sorry, but because Professor R2 is a friend of the channel, I have to highlight this, and I'll move on quickly. Professor R2 said, it thoroughly implies that Anita Hill said what Anita Hill said is the truth. That is heavily disputed. And that's all he had to say about that. Michelle Ferry says, this is one of my bottom episodes. Sam as a monkey was better written. You know what? We laugh at the one that Sam was a monkey. We laugh at the one that Sam was a monkey, but there were a few elements there that worked with the story.
I didn't mind the monkey one that much.
I didn't.
I prefer monkey over monkey one Ruth. Is nope. I prefer Dr. Ruth over Monkey. Wow. I hate that episode with a passion.
I prefer the monkey over Dr. Ruth, Nick. In any case, this is such a dumb lady. He comes to her house. Why does she even open the door for him and all this stuff? And then once he comes in, there's a few things that really bothered me here. And okay, she pulls a knife, which is a smart thing. She kind of cuts him, and he's about to leave. But then he manages to come back and take the knife from her.
Yeah.
And let's just say she didn't know and she opened the door for him. I mean, you're in a situation where you're worried about this guy, where he may have tried to play with the gas or he's stalking you. You don't just open the door for anybody. And she should have never
opened. They could have given her a door that doesn't have a peephole.
Right. Like it's true. Very strange stuff. So there's that, and then let's look at there's a real change. Let's see.
I'm interested on what Rose thought is on all the angles, because you can totally tell that this is not Dr. Ruth in all the reflections.
There's a stunt person playing Dr. Ruth, and she doesn't look anything like her. She looks like she's 20 years old, the stunt person, whereas Dr. Ruth is like 100. And it's maybe a 20-year-old man or something. Marla Sharendorf says, Scott hated his costume when he was the monkey. I believe that. It kind of looks like a dumb... Hey, Storm King, how's it going? Nice to see you.
I thought what he wore as the monkey was more demeaning than any female outfit he's had to wear in the show.
Yes, there's a real change, and that's the only time he complained about his costume when he was a monkey. I didn't know that. Rhonda Nefero love this. Tries to serve her grapes, and she shows him how to turn grapes into wine. but that knee could have been harder. Yeah,
I thought he complained when he had to be in the swimsuit episode.
Kit Kat says this and Monkey is bottom for me. We will at some point do some thinking about how we rank episodes, but let's wait with those thoughts because we're not there yet. But yeah, it's time for a reel change, and now I'm going to find the other reel. We're the only show online that has a reel change.
That's true.
Such a strange thing. So, right here, Sam is in the car, and this guy's like, "Let me tell you, my wife likes when I do this and yeah." And it's like, Sam doesn't want to hear it. Meanwhile, there's like a traffic jam, so Sam decides he's going to get up and climb on all the cars, and then he climbs on all the cars, and then when he looks at the mirror, this is what Ro was saying, that when he looks at the mirror, let's see if maybe I missed it.
No, it's coming somewhere. Yeah, right there.
That does not look like Dr. Ruth.
No,
I know.
it's too funny.
You know what it actually looks like?
Mrs. Brady.
No, it looks like the actress from Karate Kid in a wig.
Maybe it was her just to save money.
You know what? I'm starting to think it was her because the nose really looks like her.
Yeah.
Look at her face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just.
I think it was the actress. I think it was the actress that played. I know this sounds crazy, and I have no way to prove it. She looks like the actress that plays that plays Annie. Maybe I'm wrong.
I just feel like they should have avoided these reflective surfaces and just shown maybe legs.
It does look like Mrs. Brady. It looks like Annie. I'm telling you, it looks like the actress that played Annie. I don't know how to explain this to you, but I actually think it's her. Anyhow, this was very poorly done, and then he's here, and
So I don't know why he wouldn't just run on the sidewalk.
Yeah, right.
Why going over top of cars is somehow quicker than just going on the sidewalk.
There's
it's funny. There's Annie's. She's got like a mole on her left cheek, same as the stunt person. And then when she's on the ground in the apartment in the scene after this, you can see her mole. So it could be her.
Well, and I get why this scene happened, why she's running in the car, because some writer in a writer's room thought, "Ooh, that'd be good shock value to see this older, small-statured woman like leaping from car to car."
Look at this row. Look, it's her. I'm telling you, she had the mole. You're right.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing that I have an issue with. There's a part that she gets up, and rather than running away, she just stands there. She's like, "Listen, you have to leave now, or I'm going to call the police." I'm like, "Lady, I don't want to use the B word because Nick is here, but like, B word, you better get."
She should have run out of her room.
Exactly.
Right.
Get the heck out of there. I'm saying that really nicely for you, Nick. She's like,
"Well, I mean, she's in the building. She should be going down to the lobby."
"Do you want me to leave and call the police?" It's like, what? Yeah, get out of there. And then he's like, just trapping her and all this stuff. Then meanwhile, Sam is running, and I have a way to prove that it's the same actress beyond the mold, Ro. You know how? I'm going to prove it to you in a second.
Let's see.
Or actually, I can't prove it to you. I think I can, but I can't. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Go call the police. I'll take care of it. And then like he goes and he's like, "Dr. Ruth, it's not what you think." He's like, "I'm going to call the police." "No, I'm not pressing charges. You're not going anywhere. Get off me." And then he like pushes her, and then Sam does the thing. Let's see.
Well, and right here, he tries to act smug, which gave me the inspiration. Like if they had built that up more over the episode, made Sam have more interactions with him when he tried to, say, "Oh, I came over here because I was concerned because she said she was going to hurt herself."
So
And
the reason, but it's not true what I'm saying, because they didn't need to do this. But I kept thinking that the reason why this is the same actress is that they moved her out of the frame. Basically, the other actress, he's like, go to the other room now, and then maybe they needed her for the mirror shot. Although they could have still done all of this with her in the frame. So
Yeah.
that's not the reason. This is certainly not Dr. Ruth, though, and I'm telling you that the scenes with Annie. This is Annie. This is the actress Annie. She did a double role. She played the body double of Dr. Ruth and Annie.
everything that Dr. Ruth did, they probably filmed in a day. They probably, because this production would have taken place over a week. I don't think she was sticking around on set all week to do all the mirror shots. I think they filmed all this stuff with her and Al, and that initial her looking in the mirror went out when Sam looks up, and then the stuff we'll see at the very end of the episode. But I think they filmed all that at once. She got a big paycheck and she left.
Right, and then you have this situation where Sam is basically, Al's like. He's like, well, why haven't I leaped yet? He's like, well, there must be one other thing to do. And then he has to go, I guess, talk to Dr. Ruth, and she has to tell him that he has to tell Tina that he loves her. All of this annoys me. This whole thing annoys me. And yes, this is part of the one day that they filmed. In one day, they could just have her walking around, do a few scenes with Al, because they just cut to them from time to time. And then the other scene is that she needed to do the thing with Scott Bakula, that she's looking in the mirror in that opening. Aside from that, they didn't need anything. And then she convinces him he loves Tina, whatever it is, some dumb crap. Also, I think that Annie, he's like, she becomes a lawyer and helps people in trouble, blah, 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 and it's fine. And then once everything is good, and he does it. By the way, does he see her as Dr. Ruth, or does he see her as Sam?
Yeah. That's always been wishy-washy to me,
Yeah, and then
that's so unclear, because in early episodes, Al looks at Sam and says, wow, you should look at you. Like the first time he was in a woman, he was, making googly eyes at Sam. So they make it seem.
There's speculation that they've fixed it, that they, at some point, at least in my headcanon, I'm thinking to myself that at some point they made it that Al, when he's talking to Sam in the past, it looks like Sam, and when he's in the waiting room, it looks like the person in the waiting room, to Al at least. I don't know if it's like that to everybody, but in my headcanon, I want to believe that that's the case, because otherwise there would be a lot of strange things happening on this show.
Yeah.
But okay, so it ends up that he leaves and there's a vampire. This is a strange situation, because this is the first time that I can remember that we see the waiting room where somebody leaped in,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually don't see what it looks like to Sam. Now, to be honest with you, I don't dislike this idea. Again, some of these ideas that they were swinging for the fences weren't always bad. It's not the worst idea. I didn't hate this, but it doesn't save an episode that was annoying as is,
True.
And also, I have to say this, that once the credits roll at the end, there's a music that sounds like late night naughty movie music.
Of course.
Question, because Ruth is a real person, are these assistants of hers, are they real people?
No, I don't believe they are. I think that this
Okay.
was just imaginary.
Okay, I wasn't sure if this was somehow based on, an actual love thing that went on in her studio that would have been famous because everybody heard it in this,
Probably
Right.
not.
Tex Roger said it's the only time that was happened. Marks for 7 says I was allowed to tape the show, so I was just, as this scene was happening, waiting to hit stop on the VCR. Didn't trust the timer. And then this creepy mofo did the Fang thing at the point blank. I mean, it was an interesting idea. It's too bad. I'm not going to do any spoilers. It's too bad that the episode, the next one, as much as I complained about this episode, I feel like the next one gets even more complaints from me.
Looking forward to it.
I haven't watched. I think that one that we're going to see next week, I feel like I've watched it maybe twice my whole life, many years ago, and I don't think I even revisited it. I think it really disappointed me. But
I think we were covering second season the first time you brought it up.
Right.
I know you've brought up that episode a couple of times because you were talking about that one and the time when he went further back than his lifetime, and as being controversial episodes. And it's funny because the one where he goes back further than his lifetime, in the end, I was fully satisfied with how they explain that, and the science mumbo jumbo to go through with that. But so I'll be interested to see what it is about this episode that makes it so controversial. Maybe it'll dethrone the monkey episode.
Yep, it's a good point. I don't really know what to tell you. But do you remember that episode though?
No. Like I have vague memories of certain. It's funny. I have more memories of Al and Sam talking than I do of the actual episodes. I remember concepts of the evil leaper. I remember he's in the theater and then he's kind of in like a southern city, and I remember stuff like that. But when I think back of my youth watching this show, most of my memory is of Al hitting the hand link and like just being very anxious and talking to Sam and being very anxious and you got to do this and just the kind of the intensive, because I've not rewatched this, and it's not for a lack of not liking the show. I liked the show a lot when I was young. I just haven't had access to it readily. When we first started, it was on Roku. I think it's back on Roku. But I bought the seasons digitally. But like stuff like
we've been doing it so long that it even returned to the streaming service that had left in the meantime.
Oh my God, that's right.
But it's one of those things.
On DVD.
Oh, Super Mario Brothers 3 is here. It's nice to see you, man.
Good.
The only time we see a Leapy in the land of the... Yeah, it's the first time and only time I think we've seen it. And it's an idea that I liked. Ron Donofero, $5 super chat. We are such an awesome chat group. We help make the videos. That is absolutely true. I should have put that in the song, and I apologize.
But I feel like with Quantum Leap, like a lot of the other shows from that period of time that I like so much is because I watched them on rerun enough, and then when it became time that everything went to DVD, I bought the DVDs with them because I already had this familiarity. Stuff like MacGyver, Knight Rider, Stargate, Star Trek, all that stuff I was watching over and over and over again. That this show, because I saw it once, really liked it, and then never saw it like anytime I was on streaming service or anything like that, or even reruns. I never saw it as reruns, like in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I have a few comments here. Matthew Marceau says, Tardis, if you're going to do an Al impression, you have to do it like Price and really lean into it with Sam, LOL. And Storm King says, I remember this episode because me and my mom watched it, even though she didn't care for the series. Tex Rogers says, sadly, most of Knight Rider bores me now. I find it hard to get through some shows. You know what? I actually watched Knight Rider in recent years when they put it on Netflix, and I rather enjoyed it. It is silly and preposterous and dumb, and there's something about it that I still find enjoyable. It's like the ultimate 80s nonsense, but I don't mean it in a bad way. It's hard not to get a smile out of me watching some silly Knight Rider episode, as dumb as it is. Can't explain why.
Well,
hey, Tracy Alexander,
the fact that something like Knight Rider, what I find funny is that like they have to have like their opposite. So when they introduce like Car
Oh, that's right.
as a villain,
and Garth,
it's ridiculous that like they're in this world and like what could possibly be the thing that would be the ultimate challenge. Well, it would be another unbeatable Car.
It's almost like a cartoon, but with live action Knight Rider. It is absolutely preposterous and dumb, but there's a certain charm to it. I'll be darned if it doesn't have a certain charm to it that puts a smile on my face.
Well,
The more stupid it is, the more I smile. I don't know why.
Somebody was talking about this the other day, and I've never seen it, but the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman, I believe in a movie, had a kid, and that kid somehow became bionic too because of an accident. And then they became, in one movie, they were like a bionic family. It's like stuff like that. It's like you just gotta love kind of. In the 80s, it just didn't. They didn't care.
Wait, Professor R2 says activates pursuit mode. It's actually, I think, super pursuit mode. See, first of all, they had turbo boost, and then what happened is that in the fourth season, I believe, they wanted to show that they've added some modifications to Kit, and they're like, now he's got super pursuit mode, and when you clicked press the button, suddenly like additionally kind of things came out of the car to make it more like fast, like. It had like flippers or something. I can't explain it. Fins. Anyhow, yeah. Bionic Man and Woman and Bionic all that stuff. I liked all that stuff. We have the technology. It's also ridiculous that he took Jamie and then they made her a bionic thing. Also, like so much ridiculous crap. All I can tell you is that the actor that played Oscar Goldman or whatever his name is, that guy. That actor really, really cashed in. He was in both shows. They needed him. They couldn't make those shows without him. They needed him for both shows. And imagine like that. It's not even one. They need you for both of them. You have to be everywhere. He was the connecting tissue between these shows.
It's true.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that. It's kind of the fun of the era and the adventure of the week, and I feel like a lot of that has been lost. Even stuff that's a little bit newer. I feel like things either have to be a streaming show with like 8 to 12 episodes that build up to this one big story that takes place over those episodes, or they're a cop procedural or something like that. But there's no these fun adventures, like the last ones that I can think of are like Burn Notice and Person of Interest. But everything else seems like it's like this continuous building story. And I just miss the adventure of the week that was like the staple of television in the 80s and 90s.
Yep. And I guess let's just start doing summaries here. If you had to sum up this episode, Ro, and give a few final thoughts about it, what would you say?
Plot was convoluted, not very well executed. I feel like Dr. Ruth overshadowed Sam, and they relied too much on the celebrity aspect of this particular episode. Not my favorite, but again, I think I like the fact that they tried something new. This one didn't hit for me. Probably not my bottom. And actually, I like this episode more than last episode with the bigamists. A little more. I think they're like right up there in the same category, but it wasn't my favorite. And we'll see what vampires show up next week.
You know what? I will say that if I had to compare it to the bigamist one, I think that this one is a bit more a bit better, because at least there was something at stake. There was a lady that was going to get killed, and he had to help her. So at least there's something. The one with the bigamist, you don't even know what he's doing there or why we're watching the episode. This one, you just think that there was a kernel of an idea that was good. I just thought that the execution and what they ended up doing with it wasn't good enough. What did you think, Nick?
I find it really hard to judge against the bigamist episode because they're almost neck and neck for me as something that could be good but isn't. But well, I don't know how you could have made the bigamist episode much better, but this episode, I feel like if they had just focused on him rescuing her and focused on building up the evil boss as somebody who just is in such a position of power that he feels he's untouchable, and he's smart enough that he is untouchable, and that like no one will believe her. He always has a spin to get himself out of stuff. And the only reason why Sam knows any different was because Al saw something. I think would have been a much, but Sam being unable to prove it, because you can't say, well, my invisible friend saw it happen. It doesn't fly in court. I feel like it did Al dirty. At best, this is a C-, D+, somewhere in there. It's not a great episode. I didn't feel angry when I was done. And that's like how I judge, like when you guys say, oh, is this better than the monkey episode? That when I was done watching that episode, I was angry. I was angry that Scott Bakula didn't say no. It's like I was like, this was very demeaning to him. I didn't like how that was a swing. And I know how Ro has mentioned that he can appreciate that when they swing and they miss, you can appreciate that they swung. And I guess in that episode, you can appreciate that they tried something different doing the chimp, but I didn't. I felt that was somewhere they shouldn't have gone. And I likewise, the whole body merging, mind merging thing is something that I feel is a can of worms they should have never opened.
Yeah.
And they gave very specific reasons when they first did it, but now it just seems like it's free range to do that, and I don't care for that, and I really wish they had stopped doing that. And so I don't feel fondly over this episode at all, but I also didn't walk away going, man, I'm really angry. And I can think of episodes like the Oswald episode, like the monkey, like there are episodes where I was physically upset that I watched it, and that was in my mind and in my head, and then I had wasted my time with it. This was it wasn't great. And if I were to rewatch this with my wife, when we get to this episode, I'd be like, oh, this, yeah, okay, yeah, the next episode, and I would have my phone out and I'd be playing solitaire on my phone or messing around on Twitter, because I wouldn't have an interest in re-going through this episode.
I understand. Well, that's fair enough. And
I love how I give like way too long of a rant. I kind of take over it. I understand.
No,
I love how you did
I'm
that.
listening. Yeah, no, I'm giving you space to say your thing.
No, it just always cracks me up.
Mary White says, first of all, thank you for the super chat for $5. I really appreciate it. Shout outs: Tex Rogers, Marla Sharondoff, Michelle Ferry, Rhonda Nefero, Matthew McGee, Tracy Alexander, Kid Kat, and Mur Rockstra. I almost feel maybe we missed Super Mario Brothers 3. Oh, that's shout outs too. What was shout outs 1? Do you see shout outs 1?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, there was another one. Thank you so much. It was very kind of you. There was okay. In both cases, she said it was shout outs to, I think.
No, this is shout outs 2, and the other one was 1.
Okay, shout outs to Matthew, and it's another super chat for $5, which I really appreciate. It's very nice of you, Mary. Matthew Marcillo, Professor R2, Storm King, Super Mario Brothers 3, Marks for 7, Price Row, and Nick. And yeah, I think there were other people some people watch it and don't necessarily speak based on the numbers that I saw throughout the stream. I feel like there were other people that may not have participated in the chat, but that's fine. Some people just like listening. Some people like participating, and we're always happy to hang out with all of them. So it's great that we had a chance to talk about it. I think that we can sum up that this is not going to be in anybody's top episodes. The question is how much of a bottom episode it is. I don't think it's one of the best we've seen here. But like I said, I'm curious what you'll think about the one that we'll have next week. And
well, you say it's not in anybody's top episode, but I am sure there were some Dr. Ruth fans that had never seen Quantum Leap. We even had somebody said that their mother watched it with them, despite not liking Quantum Leap. So there's got to be some people out there that this was their gateway to Quantum Leap.
Maybe there was. Maybe that did happen. I'm not saying it didn't, but we'll never know. In any case, thank you, everybody. Thank you to everybody. Ron Donofero for the $5 super chat. Mary White for the $5 super chat. Mary White for another $5 super chat. So thank you, and thank you for helping me with the shout outs. And thanks to everybody that hung out here with us. We'll see you all here next week on Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern for Quantum Leap Revisited. And I guess now all we can do is play our outro and be on our way. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you. Bye. I'm such